How good it is to be together in this moment of bowing our heads. Essentially bowing even our best thinking that would be based in fear. We're bowing fear to love. We're bowing our head to our heart. And when I say our heart, I don't mean our physically, like the physical organ of the heart, but I mean the heart center of your being. The intelligent love center of your being that knows no fear. That fear is impossible to the heart center of our being. So I bless you, I bless me, I bless us in activating this intelligence, the intelligence of our very own heart centers, where we are already aware that we live in communion, in our oneness and in our union, in the unafraid. That is God, the unafraid. What a relief it is, isn't it? You know, what a relief it is to let go and let love, to let go and let God, to know that you cannot be separate from divine intelligence. You are born out of divine intelligence. Divine intelligence is your true nature, is what you are, is what I am. So we join together really to help one another. Prayer, we help one another. Maybe just your presence might help me a little bit as you listen and participate in this prayer experience. Maybe it might just lift me a little bit to realize some aspect of God that is trustworthy and is active and dynamic in my life. And maybe a word I speak or a prayer request you hear will be something you can resonate with, and a little chunk of fear can just fall away. And I say little because I want to, have no expectations, and yet miracle-minded. Maybe it's a huge chunk. Maybe today in the listening, in the praying, could be the last experience you ever have of a particular kind of fear. I bless you, I bless me, I bless us, I bless this whole wide world, everyone in it. That means I'm sending, you are with me, we are sending light to ourselves and to others, that we may awaken to the good news. I consider the good news to be heaven on earth, that my life and your life is absolutely beautiful, with this one tiny exception, what we think about our lives. So that's why we're bowing our thinking. I bless you again. I bless me again. I bless us again. I bless this prayer on the air episode, and I let it be good and very good. Amen. 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 Hello. Thank you so much for being here. If you're finding value in what you're watching, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. It means the world to me that you are here, and I appreciate your support. Thank you. I'm Angela Montano, and this is Prayer on the Air. Welcome. And I've been saying we're from 58 different countries. Guess how many? Someone in all these, in now 62 different countries is listening. So we've a few more countries are tuning in to Prayer on the Air. But again, our numbers are very, very small. Like it's like, I always think it's sweet, like one person in New Zealand and one person here, one person there. But we are mighty because I'm so fascinated, and I won't riff on this too much, but the geographical outreach of this podcast is huge, but the individual number is not by podcast standards. And this reminds me of something I read in about 2001 by this man. His name was Walter Starkey, and he worked with a practitioner, probably the most celebrated spiritual practitioner that I've ever read about or known about, and his name is Joel Goldsmith. Maybe you've read some of his books. He's now passed on. But Walter Starkey worked with Joel Goldsmith for about 14 years and then, became a teacher in his own right. And he used to like sit every morning and download his wisdom from, the higher consciousness that he was in contact with in his being. And he used to send newsletters out. But when newsletters like literally came in the mail, and I used to just love getting his newsletter. Anyway, it was about 2000, 2001 that he got that we were moving into an era of the power of the one. The power of the one. And at that time he gave examples like, the one computer hacker who's 15 years old, in the Philippines could do damage to a multinational corporation, or the one suicide bomber, or the one mass shooter, the one can do terror to the many. And he said, we've also got to realize it's the one prayer that can do massive, constructive, opening healing to the many. And I've sometimes said that I feel like our Prayer on the Air podcast, those of you who come live like you are right now, it's 10 a.m. on Monday. And those of you listening, maybe it's 2 a.m. in the morning, maybe it's 4 p.m. in the afternoon where you are, wherever you are, you're part of this. And I think of it as a cell, C-E-L-L. And, in the news, they'll talk about terrorist cell. And I feel like we're a, whatever transcends terror, we're a love cell, a prayer cell. And we want to be this for one another and let the ripple effects of this podcast make a mighty difference in illuminating love and the power of love. And I don't know about you, but I know terror. I experience terror. I'm actually really present to terror in my life right now. I'm able, knock on wood, praise the universe, able to just, not all the time, but just watch the terror. And I can feel it like a layer of confusion in my mind. Just the more still I am with it, the more I feel like it's offering itself to that deeper Christ-like nature to be resolved. I was wondering, why do I experience terror? Is it because I'm an empath and there's a lot of fear? But even when I was a little girl, I used my twin bed was placed in my bedroom and such that there was a window like to my left and a window to the head of my bed. And I used to sleep not where my pillow was at the head of my bed, but at the foot of my bed. And my parents were like, why are you doing that? And I was like, well, if anybody gets in through the windows, I'll have a faster route to the door. And I used to say, my father thought it was very funny. I said, I don't want to get creamed in the corner. I don't want to get creamed in the corner. And I used to check under my bed nightly for murderers. I don't know what was going on. Like, I don't know where we bring this terror in from. You may have specific memories that would make you think, well, it makes sense. And I have a few of those too. But it's becoming less and less interesting to me, like the origin of the terror. I think that's important to the degree that knowing the origin helps me just bow to it. Welcome terror, I love you. Just like a lost child, let it dissolve, let it transmute, let it transform in the light of my unconditional love. And it's hard to love terror, right? Because my story is, no, terror's bad. Terror doesn't feel good. So I've got to distract myself. My favorite way of distracting myself from uncomfortable emotions is chocolate. A nice piece of 85% chocolate. I can feel, an uplift and a relief for a few minutes. And I forgive myself for that. I often wonder, am I being a coward when I do that? Perhaps I am. But I've got to love the coward that I am, in those moments, self-soothing It's also an act of love. So, we're bowing our heads. We're bowing our heads to the heart, to the greater love. There's a love capacity within you and within me that can love everything up. But that always requires us to transcend our story. I had an amazing image come up as I was doing our opening prayer, but it zipped out of my head. And if I remember it again, I will bring it forward. I do want to say, for those of you in the U.S., we get a total eclipse or a partial eclipse. I've got my eclipse glasses, and I think it's partly going on while we're in our prayer on the air session. And I'm not so much needing to stand outside and see it as I like to feel the energy of it. Like, what is the phenomenon of this cosmic happening when it relates to you, me, God, prayer, heaven on earth? And, some would say just the fact that so many people across this United States of America are taking time out to be aware of the eclipse. Many people have traveled to the path of the total eclipse, and that's harmony, that's unity. And if we can unify for an eclipse, let us be open-minded. What else might we be able to unify for? What might I be able to unify for? So we want to catch that energy of the unification. So again, I just want to say, for anyone new, we are really a global prayer community. Someone is listening to this prayer podcast every day of the week. So I think of that person, whoever's listening, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 6, the 14, sometimes it's 64, sometimes it's 102 in a 24-hour period. They're like holding the vigil candle of the pulsing opening of prayer. So I thank you deeply for showing up live. If you want to come live, go to my website, angelamontano.com, and there's a place there where you sign up, and I give you the Zoom link, and you can join us live. And also subscribe, give 5 stars wherever you're listening to the podcast, just because that helps the algorithm of it and would alert anybody who wants to join to join. And so always we're always breaking through. Fear tells us something is missing. When I'm buying into fear, it always has an element of lack. Love tells us everything we truly want and need we already have. And that's always what we're dropping into in prayer. So through prayer, we're surrendering to this very relieving and very good news.